Hello. Welcome. Hello, audiences listening across Asia, US, UK, Australia. This is podcast Pretty Immunity Rock Sugar Column. Hi, it has been a while. Pretty Immunity podcast has a mix of Mandarin and English episodes, and is searchable on popular podcast platforms such as Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Castbox, Stitcher, and Radio Republic. Pretty Immunity is also on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Please remember to subscribe and follow us. Look out for the audio link for today's podcast. So we are in a unique era, I would say. Our lives are challenging in many ways. Juggling family, relationships, work, and now the big environment, right? So we need to cover every detail in things we do, and there will always be different judgment, perspective, expectation on us. So we may tend to forget to love ourselves and to upkeep our own physical and mental health. So I think we need to understand we must take care and to mind our personal growth, our self-development, or else we'll be living in anxiety, fear, frustration, and it can turn into a cycle. How are we going to do that? So let's focus on building our immunity against these challenges. Building a good foundation for our mind and soul, learn to relax the mind, and absorb healthy information. So, audiences, check out Pretty Immunity Podcast. Every episode, we have spiritual food for the mind, for the soul, for the heart. And there are good sharing of inspiring, motivating stories. You will hear from my guests. On podcasts, you will hear from books and articles. So all these are aligned to help us overcome the day-to-day challenges. And today, Raw Sugar Column, we are going to talk about traveling, right? I'm excited to have Linda King with us on the show. Linda, she's from Australia. She is a seasoned traveler with a background in travel and banking. Well, she's a woman with many hats. She's a travel writer, a blogger. So she's the founder of the Smart Travelista. And on her website, it's like a travel encyclopedia. I would say with lots of traveling stories, information, and photos. So she's so enthusiastic. So now she's also an author of the Smart Travelista Guide. So in her books, she share how to fly free, food allergies, how to manage budget while you are traveling, and also not forgetting bargain shopping. Very exciting, right, audiences? So let us welcome Linda King.
Thank you, Annie. So lovely to
Hello,
be here.
Linda.
Welcome, everyone.
Nice to have you here, Linda. We are
Thank
happy
you.
to have you on our show, okay? Now, can you
Thank
tell
you.
us which part of Australia you are in now?
So I'm in Melbourne, and it's very cold here, as you can see with my scarf. So I think we're opposite to you, Annie. You're in Singapore, and it's a little bit hotter there. So yeah, I'm in Melbourne, but originally from Sydney. So I was born in Sydney, so I know both.
Oh, so Sydney is where you were born, and then
Yes.
now you are staying in Melbourne.
Yes, yeah. So I spent a bit of time in both.
Oh, okay. So Linda, you have traveled to 31 countries, and there's so much we can talk about. So before we explore the countries that you have traveled, okay, today's show, we're going to explore the country with 5-letter word. Okay, so we shall talk about it later. I think it will be interesting to talk about this post before the travel of this country that we're going to talk about. Let's talk about this post that you posted on 1st of February 2022. Okay, the title is 5 Reasons You Should Try Solo Travel. Wow.
Yes.
So Linda, can you share with us, when was your very first solo travel?
So my very first solo travel was in my early 20s. So what I did was I went to Europe and the UK for 5 weeks. And what I did was I went on a 3-week package tour. So I don't know whether you've heard of it, but Kentucky tour, where Australians and New Zealanders and also Americans go. I think sometimes Canadians as well. And then I spent 2 weeks on my own. So it was a really good beginning, I suppose, into my solo travel. I was with a group of people, but then was on my own for a little bit as well.
So how would I say, is this an expensive trip that time?
When you go on a package tour, probably not. You just got to be really savvy, I suppose, on your costs. But yeah, look, for the beginning, because I'd never been there before, it was my first overseas trip. I thought it would be good to go on a package tour. It wasn't that expensive, actually, because I don't know whether you know much about Kentucky tours. They're pretty much like cabins and camping. So they're not in hotels, so it's quite cheap.
Oh.
Probably similar to like a backpacker, but probably a little bit different. And then what I did when I was on for the 2 weeks, I did that in hotels. So I had a little bit of a cross-section there. But, yeah, it wasn't that expensive. But it was a good start.
How many days?
So it was for 5 weeks. So I was away for 5 weeks. I was on the 3-week package trip and then 2 weeks on my own. So flew to London. The tour took off from London. Then we went to Europe. Then it came back to London. So I did a little bit on my own after that.
Wow, that's very interesting. So what preparation did you make before the trip? And it's such a long trip, 3 weeks.
Yes. So the preparation was long coming. Ever since school, I'd wanted to go to Europe. It was a dream of mine to go there. And so what I did first, I did research. So I thought, what's going to be the best, most cost-effective way to get there? And then I spoke to others that had been to Europe as well, because I had family and friends and people that I knew that had been there. So I asked for their advice, which was good. It was really good, actually. And then from that point onwards, I went to a travel agent. So this was before I got into the travel industry. So I went to a travel agent and they very kindly booked me on a really good itinerary. And, you know, obviously because I was only young and only just started work, I had to manage my costs as well. So I said, you know, have you got a good trip but a cheap one? Because, yeah, you know, obviously it's a different story now, but when you're first starting off, you don't have a lot of money. So, yeah, that was how I did it. But I did, you know, bit of research, got a few brochures, had a bit of a look. It was good. So, yeah, did as much research so I was prepared for when I got over there.
So that time, how do you think about like the role as a travel agency that you work or you plan your trip with? Did they provide you, did they have a pre-trip briefing?
Yeah, so they were really good. So a lot of travel agents have been to places, so they can give you some really first-hand knowledge of the place that you're going to. So I said to them, have you been there? And they went, yes, we have. And then I was, you know, obviously that was the perfect opportunity for me to ask a lot of questions. And I took their advice and they said, oh, you must do this and you must do that. And so it was really good. When you're starting off, you don't know a lot. right? And it's really good to have those advisors and those people to help you. So yeah, the travel agent that I went through, she was so lovely. And when I got back, I was so happy with what she'd done. I got her a little present because as a thank you.
Wow, so sweet of you. So I would like to understand more. Okay, how was your experience after the trip? Let's talk about what went wrong first, if you still
What went
remember.
wrong? Yes. Well, on the package tour, that was all organised. That was really good. When I was on my own, I got lost quite a few times. But that ended up being a good story because I met people on the way. So I think I was in Rome when I came back from the package tour, and I didn't know a lot of Italian. I knew a little bit, and I thought, what's the word for lost? Because I'm lost. So I had to tell them that I was lost. And they were so lovely. The man I spoke to, he was a bit older. He didn't understand English, and he goes, "No, I don't understand." But then he got his daughter out, and his daughter spoke English, and she goes, "Oh, no problem. Welcome." And she said, "You just go down that road, and you'll find your way back." So I think the bad situations are actually turn out to be good situations because you meet people and you experience things that you might not have had you not gone off and done a bit of exploring on your own. So, but that was probably the only thing. I wouldn't say it was a bad thing, but nothing really else went wrong. Not until later, obviously, Annie, when some of my other travels happened.
Oh, okay. We shall talk about and find out more about your other stories. But when you
Yeah.
mentioned that you always lost, because I think if you were saying during that time that there was still no internet, right? So you were still using physical map.
Yes. Yeah. And they're harder. Like now we've got Google Maps, right? And they take us around and it's easy. When you've got a map, I have to admit I'm not good at reading maps. And so it was easy for me to get lost. I was like, am I here? But it was good because you can point to the map and they go, no, actually you're here. You need to get back here.
Yeah. So, okay. So that means for Asians here, when we talk about tour group, usually the tour leader or the tour guide will be very anxious if they are counting heads and then, oh, where's Linda? So do you cause some inconvenience to the group?
Yes. Similar here. They will keep note of everyone. Where are you? So yes, absolutely.
So I think they will call you, right? Are you reachable?
Yeah, where are you? I don't know.
Oh, that's fun. So you're the one that probably you bought the bus and every eye's looking at you. Oh, Linda again.
Linda we got into trouble. Yes.
Okay. I would very much like to go through the reasons that you mentioned. Or maybe you can tell us, okay, the 5 reasons, the first reasons that you mentioned.
Yep.
Oops.
Is confidence building?
Yes.
Yep.
How do you think it can build up confidence?
Doing things on your own. So if we're talking about solo travel, when you've got someone else with you, you're not taking any ownership in a way. You're doing it sort of jointly. So I think when you're doing something new, it might be a bit scary, but if you can do it successfully, then you've built your confidence. You go, okay, I know how to do that now, and I can do it. So always that first trip's going to be really scary because you haven't done it before. So you don't know what to expect. And, you know, it's a little bit daunting, I suppose. But once you've gone through, so you might have gone on a 5-day trip somewhere and you've come back okay, you were like, okay, I can do this again. So I think that's where the confidence building comes in. It's really important. It builds, the confidence that you can do that and you can do other trips as well.
How would you think that is a correct age that should we do the solo travel?
I think
the right age.
The right age. I reckon anyone over 18 could do it. right? So, I wouldn't say a teenager because they're still, probably not fully adults, I suppose. So probably once you hit about 18, I find a lot of my friends and people that I know usually start traveling in their 20s, early 20s. That's when you want a bit of, get out there and visit and explore the world. But it depends, Annie. Someone at 18 might go, you know what, I want to travel the world. It's my perfect time. I'm in a, gap between my university and my schooling. I want to go now. So I wouldn't say there's any right age. It's when it's right for you, really.
But Linda, because it's very different from people like, I'm speaking for what I know because I'm in Asia. So we are very different. I think for Western Australia, like yourself, usually you guys have, I would say, some traveling trips after your graduation. And
Yes.
then this is how a group of you will backpack and go travel. But then for Asian, it's more conservative. Yeah, and then the parents are very worried, concerned, and traveling that time wasn't so accessible, I would say. So yeah, I think is of the opposite. We don't travel as much during the younger times, but I think right now it's different.
Yeah, I think it depends on where you come from, I suppose. Australians are big travellers, and we know about that since we're a child. So yeah, absolutely, everyone's different, right?
Yeah, right. Okay, let's come to the second one. Linda, can you? The second one that you mentioned.
So freedom. So how much freedom have you? Freedom's really good. So traveling around, the freedom that you've got. You might be curious and want to see other places. To travel is to be free, right? You're free from your normal day-to-day life. So you might be working. You're free to do whatever you like for those days that you've got as your annual leave when you're on holidays. You're free to not have to do housework and all those things. Someone else is doing that for you.
Yes. So what was your parents' reaction when you say, I think it's a normal request for your parents to know, oh, Linda, you are going on a solo trip yourself. So what's your parents' reaction to that?
They were a little worried at first, just making sure that I would be okay. But I think when they knew that I was on a tour with other people for part of it, they thought, oh, okay, Linda's going to be all right because she's with other people. And it was a good way of, getting into the solo travel, doing that as well as having a little bit of time on my own. But obviously they wanted to know what was going on. So I kept in contact with them regularly just so they knew I was okay, because as parents they would be worried. But yeah, when I came back the first time and everything was fine, they were like, okay, she knows what she's doing. She can do this again. So, but yeah, I think your parents are always going to be worried about you. No matter how old you get, I think they still worry.
Okay. So now let's come to the third one on the list.
Meeting people. So when you're a solo traveller, you meet so many people. And I think the reason why is people will approach people that are on their own more so than they will with people in a group. So you might go with yourself and some other people. Other travellers are a little bit more reluctant to especially if they're on their own, to approach a group of people. But when you're on your own and then there's other people on their own, you meet so many people, you have so many conversations, and I think it's really great. I mean, I've met friends, people that are lifelong friends now, being as a solo traveller. But yeah, I think you can, one-on-one is always less daunting to people. If you've got a group and then you've got one person won't approach a group. Some people will, but it's more likely that one-on-one people will talk to you and approach you and have a conversation. So I think being on your own, you meet so many people that are doing the same thing, and it's a really good thing.
If you still remember, what are the ages of the people that you're traveling that time? Is it of the similar age?
Yes, similar age. But you meet people that are older too. Like, I mean, I've been on trips where there's been people that have, I think they're in their 70s. One lady was traveling on her own, and she'd been doing it for years. So you get a cross-section of people that you meet, young, middle, and then also really, a little bit older. So, yeah, it's a real cross-section of people.
Okay, so we are always talking about the good side. So how about that people, you find it very weird, cannot click, or did you? Or do you meet people that is solo travel, but it's always a lone ranger?
I've traveled with other people as well. But for me, it's like if I want to go somewhere, someone else might not be able to get annual leave or time off work. So I don't want that to stop me. I want to go to the place. So, yes, if people have got time off at the same time as me, then yes, I will definitely go with them. But, I've also gone alone as well, because sometimes people can't align with your schedule. They might have already been on a big trip already and have no leave. So then they can't come with you. And they might not want to go to that country either. Like the countries that I want to go to might not suit someone else. They might go, actually, I know I want to go somewhere else. And that's fine.
Oh.
It's okay as well.
True, yes. So I think in the early days, without the technology, you cannot find a lot of places that you want to go. So you have to ask a lot of people. So I think you have to have a certain kind of trust with stranger. And you have to believe that they are good people.
Yes.
Am I correct to say that?
But also be wary as well. So trust your gut. Trust your gut instinct. Because if there's danger there or something's not right, you've got to listen to your gut and take action as well. I actually talk about this more in one of the books that I've written about safety, about how to be safe. Yeah. Okay. So you've got to be balanced, Annie, I think. You've got to be, you can be trusting to a point, but then you've also got to be careful as well. So it's a good balance, I think, when you're on your own.
Okay. But it's amazing that you have such awareness when you are in your early 20s.
Yes.
Because I think it's quite okay. I'm not trying to be skeptical, but to be traveling as a lady on the road alone, I think there's really a lot to be mindful about, because you have to be very aware, self-aware about the surrounding.
Yeah, I think it gets better though. The more that you do it, it just becomes like a normal habit, I suppose. So if you've been traveling a little bit on your own, and again, it's different when you first start off. If you've been doing it for a while, it's just automatic. You do these things automatically. You be safer, but it shouldn't stop you traveling. You know what I mean? Like, the world is so wonderful. We don't want to be so scared that we don't travel, but then we be careful. So you've got to have a good balance, I think.
That's a very good point. Thank you, Linda. And then, okay, we still have another one, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, actually, we've got two. So getting out of your comfort zone, which I think,
comfort zone.
Yeah, we're in our comfort zone, right, when we're together with other people. But if we're on our own, that's out of your comfort zone. And you don't know what to expect, right? There's the unknown. And being out of your comfort zone sometimes feels a bit overwhelming. But it's good, because getting out of your comfort zone means you're alive, right? And you grow. So I think it's important to sometimes be outside your comfort zone, be safe, of course, but it's also about, stretching yourself, growing. I think that's really important. And I think also probably the fifth one that I spoke about was becoming self-reliant. So I think by getting out of your comfort zone, by having that confidence, you're going to become self-reliant. So when things do go wrong, because they do sometimes go wrong when you travel, you've only got yourself to rely on, and you have to get yourself out of those situations. Once you get to the end of that situation and everything's okay, that builds your self-reliance and your resilience. I think solo travel's a really good thing. You learn a lot about yourself and about other people. And it's not for everyone, but it's so rewarding, as travel is. Like, travel's rewarding too. But solo travel, you learn about yourself a lot and grow.
Wow. And I would say, audiences, if you are interested to know more how Linda go through the solo travel and the tips, so you will find the link in the podcast video, okay, about the book Safety. Of course, I think most importantly, whether you are traveling solo or with a group, try to have, I think first of all, the address of the accommodation, and also maybe the address and telephone number of maybe just a police station, I would say, or the local high commission number of your country in the destination that you are traveling to. So have them handy on hand so you can reach out for help.
Yes, absolutely.
Can I say that? Yeah. And I think maybe, can we suggest on something like if, Linda went with a group tour for her first solo trip, right? So maybe can we suggest that try for audiences who are keen to also experience the solo travel experience, okay, maybe you can plan a trip with a day or two on your own, then you join the group again, or vice versa. You travel earlier to the destination, or you travel alone first, then you join with your travel companions.
Yes,
is it
absolutely.
a good idea?
All good tips, and it's about the confidence too. When you do those smaller trips, you go, okay, well, I'm going to be ready for the international trip now. So yes, absolutely, totally agree, Annie.
So let's be more practical. So is solo travel really for everyone during this pandemic period?
No, I don't reckon it is for everyone. You've got to be a certain sort of person to do it. But, it's really choice. So, the pandemic obviously has made it a little bit more difficult for us with travel. But I think even before then, as long as you're, as I said, being safe and watching your health and your security, then it's fine. So, the thing about it is you've got to be able-bodied to be able to go solo travel as well. So it's about being able to get around on your own without any help. So if you weren't in that situation, then it might be a little bit more difficult. Wouldn't be impossible, but it would be a little bit more harder, I would say. But yeah, it's just about, if you want to see the world, if that drives you and that's a really important part of your life, and someone else can't go with you, then just plan and just do it. Be brave. You can do it. It just takes a little bit of extra planning. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But of course, as much as we plan, it's still, I think, we still need to take note. Maybe for Linda, can you share with us what is the not to do things when solo travel, the most important advice?
Yes. So I think as a woman or even as a man, do not take risks like walking alone at night in secluded or remote areas. That's a big no-no. That would be a big no-no even in your own country, I think. What I try and do is stick with crowds where there's families, because that's more safer. So absolutely don't do that. Don't draw attention to yourself too much either. So try and blend in with the crowd. So, what I mean by that is if you wear all your jewelry, your expensive jewelry and your expensive clothes, and you're going to look like a tourist, and then that's going to maybe make you a target for potentially a theft or another situation. So try and blend in with the crowd. So if the crowd are wearing a certain sort of clothing, try and blend in and wear the same. So if they're wearing T-shirts, you wear T-shirts, even if you've got other clothes with you. And it's just about how you blend in. I think if you can blend in better, then that also makes you safe. And just don't go into really known dangerous areas. Like, this is a no-brainer for me. But if there's an area that's known to be very dangerous, don't go there by yourself, because you are just looking for trouble. But I think, and try and do most of what you can with your exploring in the daytime. At night time, depending on where you are, just be careful, because nighttime is when the predators come out, or the people that are up to no good. So it's just about how you protect yourself. So,
Yeah, that's very good advice from Linda.
Yeah, listen to your gut. If your gut's telling you that something's not right, get out of there quickly.
Yes. And I think like what mentioned in the 5 reasons, getting out of comfort zone is not to challenge the safety when you are in a unfamiliar environment, right?
Yes, I agree, totally.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, it's our coffee break now. Okay. All right. Coffee break is usually a time. Let us get to know Linda better in person. So now, Linda, because in Asia, most cities have large populations. So living and working are very competitive. Australia is so much bigger as compared to Singapore. That's where I'm from. So Linda, can you share with us how's the living and working life like in Australia?
In Australia, it's good. So our cost of living is a little bit high, I would say, but it depends on the city that you're living in. But our wages are very, very much aligned with that. So if the cost of living is higher, then the wages are quite high as well. For opportunity, Australia is full of so much opportunity. Like, look, I know I've been born in Australia and I love the country, but we have a lot of opportunities. So if you've got something in your mind that you want to do, say whether it's a small business or it's an idea, you've got opportunity to do that here. So I think, and we're also very embracing of other cultures. So it's a very diverse country. So, we've got so many nationalities that call Australia home. We've got Indigenous people, which were the first people that were in Australia. I think my family and others, we probably came out to Australia, a few hundred years ago from the UK and from Ireland. But yeah, Australia has got so much to offer. It is probably, if I compare it to Asia, it is probably a lot more expensive. Having travelled in Asia, I know that for sure. But the opportunities and the life is great. We're very laid back, as you can see. I'm very calm, but we're very laid back people, very friendly, and I think helpful too. We help people, and I think, it's a bigger country. One thing about Australia that most people probably don't know is most people live on the coast. So in Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane, we all gravitate around to the coast where the water is. There is so much of Australia that is where people do not live, like the middle of Australia and Northern Territory and parts of Western Australia. The people do not live there. So we have so much land, but people tend to congregate around the coast because that's where the cities are, which is probably similar to countries in Asia as well. But yeah, we have a lot of land mass, and it is very big, but it's not full of people. We haven't got people living everywhere in it.
Okay. We should touch on that in depth with
Yes.
another episode with Linda. So, but Linda, what is it? Maybe it's an eureka moment or there's a spark that gives you the idea to begin from being a traveler. Then you goes into travel writing and author, self-publish the travel books.
Yes. So I've been traveling since I've been a little girl. So travel's always been in my blood. What was happening when I was in the travel industry and also with my travels, people were asking me a lot of questions. They were like, Linda, how do I do this and save money? And they were saying, how do I do this? When I started traveling and traveling solo, a lot of people would approach me, travelers, we'd get into conversations and they would say, I know you were on that flight, but how did you get off first? And you know, and then I'd have a conversation with them. One lady, I think I was in the Middle East, and she said to me, do you have a blog? Do you have a website? Or have you written a book? And I thought to myself, no, I haven't done any of that. And because I was getting asked these questions so regularly, it just came to me and I thought, you know what? I need to be recording all this knowledge of mine and experience somewhere. And that's how I got in to building my website. And because I'd had the travel industry as well as the banking, so the money, like the money aspect, that's how the Smart Travelista was born. So it's about traveling and quality, but doing it at low cost. So that's how it all came about. But it was just the regular asking of questions. And I was like, too many people are asking me questions. I think I need to record this somewhere. And that's how it became a thing.
Wow. Okay. That's how I think audiences, that's how Linda, she's also from a humble background. And then her love and her passion in travel that gives her the idea of what she should do next to plan for what she enjoy doing in life. And then she builds up a good immunity because with what she's doing, she's doing things that she enjoy and love to do.
Yes.
And okay, maybe quickly we touch around you were first a travel agent, then a banker. So why does the switch and the contrast in the career?
So what happened was when I was in the travel industry, I was in Sydney. So then I left Sydney to move to Melbourne, but the place that I worked at didn't have jobs in Melbourne. So what I thought was I would use all the skills that I'd built up in the travel industry and try a different industry to challenge myself. So I thought, money, yep, sounds like a good career, and the jobs were there in the bank. And I learned a lot, actually, which has been really influential in what I do now on the side with my business. But yeah, I learned a lot of things. And then it's funny, I always come back to travel. So it's like it's still in my blood. So it's like was in travel, spent some time away, but then coming back to it. So it's always dragging me back, the travel. But that was the main reason. But I'm glad I did it because it gives you a diversity in knowledge.
Yeah.
And money's important when you travel because having the knowledge of travel is good, but the money is also good because you have to manage your costs. And if you manage your costs, you can do more travel. And that's the ultimate, I suppose, for most travelers is to do more travel.
Wow, indeed. Okay, so much about Linda, and then we are still wanting to know more about how she handled the challenges in life and how she built up her immunity. Okay, her immunity. So, but we just have to quickly get back and put on to our imaginary lenses, traveling lenses now, back to the 5-letter word country that we're going to talk about is Italy. Okay, so
Yes.
let's follow Linda to explore Italy. So Linda, we know Italy is a European country, so with a long Mediterranean coastline. So you were mentioning Australia, the people also love to live along the coastline. And Italy has left a powerful mark on Western culture and cuisine. So we heard about the capital is Rome, and also it's a home to the Vatican as well as a landmark of art, ancient ruins, right? So also Venice. So maybe Linda, let's come to understand, why do you choose Italy and how many days did you plan?
So Italy, I've been there quite a number of times. I normally spend
Lucky.
at least, yes, about 6 or 7 times on last count, which is really good. How many days in Italy? How long do you want to spend there? So I think if you went to Rome, which is the capital, you could easily spend a week there. There is so much to do. So you would just need to probably think, okay, what cities and places do I want to visit? So if you were just starting off and you were wanting just to go to Rome, 1 week would be good. You could do it less than that, but I think a week gives you a lot of good time, so you can experience the shopping, you can experience the museums, you can experience the art, and do a bit of touring. But I've travelled all the way through Italy, so I've also been to Florence, Verona, Venice, Amalfi Coast, down near Pompeii, Naples. So it really depends on what interests you. So one thing that brings a lot of people to Italy is the history, because the Romans and a lot of that history. So if you were interested in that, then Rome's excellent. So is Pompeii, that's excellent as well. But it just depends on what you're really looking for. If you were looking for shopping, which is one of my favourites, you'd probably go to Florence, because the shopping is quite good there, with good leather and gold and all that sort of thing. So what I'd say is, depending on what you're wanting to do in Italy, that would sort of dictate where you went. But yeah, you could spend a month there, 4 weeks there.
Wow.
And you
Okay.
could travel the whole country. But it really depends on how much time you've got. But there is so much to see.
Maybe you can give us a heads up, like if you're having, maybe let's take about 3 weeks, which is the first point to start?
Fly to Rome. So start in Rome. That'll give you a really good understanding of the capital city and all that it's got to offer. What I would do, if you've got 3 weeks, so you might want to stay 5 to 7 days, then I would get on the train and go to Florence. So you can get a day train that takes you a few hours. Get all your luggage and get on the train. Stay in Florence. You could stay there for maybe 5 to a week, depending on your itinerary. Then what you could also do is, depending on whether you wanted to fly or whether you wanted to get the train, because that takes a bit longer, but you could go to Venice and spend some time there. And then, if you're after the real high-class shopping, go up to Milan, which is quite excellent. Got a lot of good art up there as well. But whether you want slow travel or whether you want fast travel. So if you've only got a limited time, you're better off getting in a plane, and it'll get you there immediately, within an hour or so. If you want to do it slowly, you could get in a train, and that'll take you to the places. You see a lot of good stuff on the trains as well. You get to see a lot of quite nice scenery, which you wouldn't see so much on the plane. But it really depends on whether you're going slow or whether you need to go fast. But yeah, absolutely. Rome, Florence, Venice, they're the places that people really think about when you think of Italy.
So, Linda, after being to Italy, how will you describe the country from your lens?
From my lens?
Yeah, what's the impression of it in your mind? Like the country's culture, the living lifestyle of the Italian. Is it friendly for visitors? And, how about a longer stay?
Yeah, the people are so friendly and warm. They're welcoming, very welcoming of tourists. Another thing that would really endear you to the Italians is to learn a few words. So learn some language of theirs. So, if you're in the market, say quanto costa, that means how much. Or if you're saying hello, quanto costa. Or you might want to say buongiorno in the morning. or if it's at night, buonanotte.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. And also grazie for thank you. So thank you, molto grazie. So if you learn a few of these words, their faces light up. They're so happy that you're tempted to learn the words, and that will really help you. It's helped me get a lot of good shopping bargains just by talking their language. So the Italians love their life. They love their life. So what they do is they love their food, they love their fashion. They're very laid back, very much like the Australians, but probably even more so. They're very, very relaxed and laid back. Nothing's ever a problem, and they really enjoy their life. So for me, when I go there, I relax immediately because they just let everything go as it comes, and nothing's ever a problem. And they're just so friendly and nice people. So that's really what's drawn me back so many times, that I have such a good time there, and they are very welcoming. But I think you just have to play your part in that. Try and learn a few words. And this goes for traveling anywhere, Annie. If you go to Asia or try and learn some hello or goodbye words. People will love you. They'll, they're like, oh, she's prepared. And that really makes them like you.
Yeah. I think it's the same for like in Asia. If like foreigners say a few words that is like 谢谢, 你好, all this, it does makes us feel, you actually blend into the culture and you enjoy your stay here. So it's mutual. It's a mutual kind of relationship, that the vibes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now there's so much to talk. It was really a great session with Linda King. Okay, the author, travel writer, blogger, founder of Smart Travelista. And audiences, you will find her website link in today's episode's description, okay, down there. So Linda, we would love to have you back in our next episode. And because I realized that we need to probably talk about more, like you mentioned about if you are slow or, what kind of travel, I would say, you say slow or fast, right?
Yes.
So what kind of travel experiences that the audiences are looking into? Probably the next episode, we will touch on that more and hear more about your experiences. Okay, so Linda, we would love to have you back again. And once again, thank you for the good insights that you have shared today. So see you soon.
See you soon, Annie, and thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed it. And goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, audiences. Have a good weekend. Great day. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bonjour. Take care.